Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? You're all very far away. I want you to come forward. It's like, I'm not that scary, I promise. So thanks for joining us. My name's Lucy Cooper, and I'm hoping today is not going to be so much of a lecture. Today won't be a lecture because we've got this amazing opportunity to tell you things and share stories with you in a far more compelling way than we've ever been able to do before. And it's because of that ability that we carry, you're all looking at me, it's this tiny device, slim device in our hands, which literally means we can access an incomprehensible amount of information in seconds. We quite literally have the entire sum of human knowledge at our fingertips. Even if sometimes we use it to play games, or dots is my favorite, I don't know about you guys. It's good for the plane. So we don't need to do the same things the same way anymore, starting hopefully with this conversation, and we've got some great videos that Zara teed up earlier to go through. We can all use technology to affect real and substantive change, and not just in a business environment, but in our communities, our homes, in our lives, and in the lives of others. And if we all do things differently, we need to talk about different people doing those things too. That we all take responsibility for making change and thinking differently to improve the way the world works and lives. If the last decade has very much been about things happening to us, to our jobs, to our homes, even to our phones and the way we take a taxi, then I believe that this next phase is going to firmly put people back at the heart of the revolution. And because of this primacy of people in an era of technological change, we can be very comfortable saying that while technology remains the answer, it's time to ask the question, how will we use technology innovation to improve the world? And I really think it's about being part of the conversation. We're getting increasingly comfortable with the idea that we all need to endlessly reinvent ourselves, our products, our processes, our services. But how we do this relies on our ability to ceaselessly innovate. At Accenture, we spend a lot of time thinking about how we put innovation at the center of everything we do and everything we help our clients do, and I'm lucky enough that it's my job 365 days a year. I think we bring together a truly compelling package of diverse research teams, we have a ventures arm, we have innovation labs, we have innovation centers, we have studios that can design, build, and industrialize new products and services for our clients with a truly transformational capability. And coming from really diverse backgrounds, we do try and solve industries' and clients' most challenging questions with leading-edge technologies. And while a lot of what we have seen in this sphere has either started in the business world or reached its maturity there, I believe that where this innovation has the most potential is things that affect societal or social change. Change the things that matter, that change lives. And it's funny that we're after Chris, because my first example is Boyan Slat, who you may or may not know. He's 24, he's Dutch, and he invented the plastic garbage catcher that's going to be released early in 2019, that's going to go after catching the islands of garbage that are floating around in some of our oceans. And when we talk about diversity and inclusion and innovation, we don't just mean man, woman, black, white, we mean age too. He's 24, probably older than most of you guys in this room. And by the way, Paul Buchheit, who was the inventor of Gmail, did it on the 20% of the side of his desk policy at Google, and he was 24 years old as well. So every time I work on a client problem, every time I run a sprint with a client, which is a design thinking way of problem solving, I want as many points of view in the room as possible. Having 20 people in the room of the same sex, with the same skin color, age roughly 52, heterosexual, doesn't count, by the way. It's not about fair, it's not about good citizenship. What drives our thinking around inclusivity and innovation at Accenture isn't warm or fluffy. It's because in a world of ever increasingly complex and diverse problems, the answers need to come from increasingly complex and diverse people. We need more diverse talent in the room to be able to truly innovate. I don't know if you've heard of Joy. She's what she calls herself a coding poet. She's an MIT fellow and a Rhodes Scholar, and she's black. And when she uses artificial intelligence technology, she has to wear a white mask in order to get the software to recognize her. because of the sources of data that have been plugged to teach the AI how to work. This is exactly the kind of example I'm talking about. It is our responsibility to make sure that people like Joy don't ever have to wear a white mask again. So how do we use innovation and technology to help us get the most diverse set of people in the room? Let's take VR. Who owns VR goggles? There's some at the back if you want to try them. What do you use them for, Jane? Your kids do? Great, perfect. I use mine in workshops with 52-year-old white men. You all know that they were designed to enhance the gaming experience or in advanced training on jobs that are too difficult to learn on the job, like pilots or nuclear power station engineers. But they're now being used to develop softer and just as critical skills. These VR goggles allow us to challenge the way we think about people in the workplace, to address the bias that gets in the way of managing a diverse group of people better. So let's have a look.
The entire experience of it being a virtual reality and having those conversations, giving those options.
Oh my gosh, what a great training room.
This is a very good way of coaching them and making sure that they understand the difference between biased conversation versus an unbiased one, and how do you coach your next levels as well.
It was very interesting to handle a conversation when you have some sort of face-to-face challenge, and it was very interesting to be providing feedback with different scenarios.
But what's the point of moving her just for the sake of it?
Actually calling out the bias itself and saying you're not talking from a factual basis.
The interactive experience and very constructively coaches you on your responses.
It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to ask you to imagine something. Imagine being in an MRI scanner. Okay? That's actually the sound, if you haven't been in one, that it makes. It's loud, it's claustrophobic, and it's really terrifying. Now imagine being a child in an MRI scanner. So I don't know if you know that 80% of children have to be sedated before they go into an MRI machine, because they're so upset, understandably, of the trauma that's about to be in front of them, that they can't stay still or relax to get what's needed to be in the scanner. And this obviously really hurts their loved ones too. So anyone got any ideas of what you could do to change that? VR. Well, yeah, maybe. It's a good idea. Let's do that one next. Designers at Pittsburgh Hospital and GE created a series of scanners to try and make it less of an ordeal and more of an experience. It's a really simple design-based solution, and children who go through these scanners, where there's often only 1 or 2 of them per hospital, they don't have to be sedated. Less than 10% of them are sedated. Actually, one kid came out and went, "Can I go on it again?" But it also means makes good business sense, because you can do more scans a day, and the hospital is more effective, and the services can be given to everybody who needs them. So inclusivity really does drive our ability to innovate. Innovation drives our ability to include and be more diverse, the perfect virtuous circle. Research that we conducted in 2016 at International Women's Day found that digital technology has the power to close the gender pay gap in a generation by allowing more people to access work, education, and investment. Inclusivity and diversity driving our ability to innovate. We innovate to build more inclusive societies. We put people first and use technology to develop sustainable solutions to complex societal challenges. Our approach to innovation at Accenture is very much about improving the way the world lives and works, which brings me on to my next example, the talking gloves. Statistically, deafness is one of the disabilities that is most likely to result in people feeling excluded or being excluded in the workplace. The talking gloves are a series of sensors and voice software and translate American or British Sign Language into speech. Let's take a look.
Hello. My name is Thomas, and this is Naveed. We are inventors.
The gloves work by utilizing sensors on the hand and wrist to measure hand position and hand movement. It then outputs a corresponding word or phrase in text and speech.
Hello. I'm well. Thank you.
Currently, there is no commercial sign language translator on the market. With this invention, over 70 million people achieve a new level of independence.
It's cool, huh? So, this innovation is transforming the ability of people with hearing impairment to work in mainstream jobs. But that's not the end. The designers are now working on a version of the gloves that incorporates sensors worn on the body that detect temperature, sweat levels, heart rate, and breathing, and translate those into emotions to change the speech to reflect the emotional response of the speaker. Innovations in robotics and emotional intelligence making inclusivity in the workplace increasingly real. So who here likes to dance? I do. I'm not saying well. While the talking gloves help people communicate, get jobs, this little device helps people have a good time. It's called BleeTech, and it bridges the gaps and reduces feelings of isolation and exclusion. Let's take a quick look at how it works.
In a world full of sound, can you imagine a world without music? A world without dance? Have you ever thought how the hearing impaired perceive music? And can they dance if they can't hear music? BleeTech and Accenture Labs is enabling the hearing impaired to transform music into vibrations and dance in unison.
In Accenture Lab, we take great pride in mentoring young women entrepreneurs in technology. And I have here two amazing women entrepreneurs who run BleeTech, this wearable device, and we have been working with them using our research in artificial intelligence, in haptics and wearables.
BleeWatch is a wearable for people with hearing impairment to improve their lives. And we are very excited to have technology support and software mentorship from Accenture Labs.
Dance is a feature in the BleeWatch that provides haptic feedback to the user through vibrations in sync with the beat. Earlier, beat patterns had to be manually extracted and programmed for each song, thereby limiting the number of songs available. Accenture Labs helped enhance the BleeWatch solution with dynamic extraction of rhythm from music, opening up a whole new world of music and dance for the hearing impaired.
It's pretty cool. So I've just got a couple of things and then I'll let you go to the next room. I believe that innovation stems from a truly open approach by creating open enterprises and platforms that touch any number of partners, agencies, and customers. But with openness comes risk. And while we can't eliminate every risk, we can use innovation to manage and build trust. DHL have partnered with Accenture to develop a blockchain proof of concept in pharma serialization. Every link in the supply chain, from manufacturers to couriers to stores stocking the drug to the patients, uses the blockchain to record all of the events at various stages. Every step is securely recorded so that after purchasing the product, patients can confidently validate that their medication is legitimate and can be taken safely. So although innovation can't make us feel yet, it can make us feel safe. So before I hand you over to the next speaker, I want to leave you with a final thought. We must get used to the idea that technology is engaging with us as people, not as a transaction, and that as a result, technology-driven innovations are changing lives for the better, because technology is the answer to how we educate more people, how we employ better, smarter teams, to how we care for more patients, both in and out of hospital, to how we make work better, to how we make roads safer, to how we feed more people, to how we start to close the gender pay gap, to how we make change happen. Technology is the answer so long as we are all around to ask the right questions. If we use technology to ask, what could you do if only you could walk in somebody else's shoes? And so with that, please join us on your way out by actioning your collective ideas on the back of the wall to help us all drive innovation to how the world works and lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lucy. I know you have a plane to catch in about 6 minutes, but are you happy to take 1 or 2 questions?
Yeah, of course. Any
Great.
questions?
The plenary session, guys, starts in about 8 minutes, so we have a little window for conversation. Who has a question? Okay. I have a mic.
Sorry, could you just help me clarify the BleTech technology? Was the solution that music could be playing and the technology would sense the music and translate that into vibration?
Yeah, so the students wear a watch that use haptics to give them vibrations. And it used to have to be that you had to manually code a song onto the software of a watch, so you could only play a few songs. But now with the technology that we're using, it's open to a whole host of songs. And so the teams can say they want to pick a dance and they want a specific type of dance, and then the schools will help them find the music, and it's automatically translated into vibrations so that they can come together as a team or as a community and dance.
Okay, that's super cool. And so one last question.
Sure.
So you partnered with BleTech. Did BleTech find Accenture, or did Accenture find BleTech?
I actually don't know the answer to that question, but Accenture has an amazing network. We track over 300,000 startups, and we have a partnership called Accenture Development Partnerships, which goes and looks for non-profits that are having some substantive social change in the world. And so we are really, really serious about the fact that no one big company can solve all the problems in the world, even a company that's got nearly 500,000 people like Accenture. So we work really, really hard on building ecosystems, which means we can go and find the solutions that already exist. So I hope that we went and found them, but I will look it up and get back to you, Zahia.
I won't hog. One last question. If I was so inspired and I felt like I already had an idea that I felt like Accenture could potentially help me with, how would I contact Accenture?
Well, you can email me. My email address is lucy.s.for.sarah.cooper@accenture.com, or Zara, and we'll help you find the right people to talk to. lucy.s.for.sarah.cooper.
Hi. So obviously technology really benefits those with disabilities of any type. However, there is a huge disparity in obviously what they cost, and things aren't accessible unless people can access them. What are Accenture doing to ensure that the technologies that are actually available to disabled people throughout the world?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and we partner in as many situations as possible with charities and other local organizations to make sure that the technology or the tools that are being built are being used in the communities where you need them, but it's never enough, and there's always more that need to be done. We also do a lot of stuff for free, for pro bono, so we wouldn't charge a charity to partner with them to help develop software. So we try and give the access to the technology that we have. So Accenture now has over 6,000 technology patents. So we give all of that for free to these not-for-profits, and then we work through our charity partnerships and our other partners. So we have huge partnerships with people like Google and Amazon and Microsoft. So we work with some of those other huge companies to go to areas in the world where we can make sure that we're having an on-the-ground impact. But you're absolutely right, there's always more to do around access. Any final questions? Yeah?
Are you applying any innovations within your organization, with the employees, those kind of stuff?
Yeah, so it's a great question.
If you could give example of some of them, that would be good.
So yes, so for example, I'll give you two quick examples. One is we've got this trend report called Business Futures, where we're looking at lots of different scenarios that could exist in the future of the world. So like what happens if VR really does take over? That's like, we're saying like, oh yeah, VR's happening, but if VR really took over, that has a real fundamental difference. We actually built that report by ingesting over 30,000 data like sources from the internet and using machine learning to collate all of the trends that people were talking about in public speeches and newspapers and news stations were talking about. That is actually how we compiled the trends of the report. So everything from report writing right up to we've automated 60,000 jobs in Accenture operations, but we don't fire those people. Because they're brilliant, we automate their jobs so that the low value work that they're doing can be completely automated. And those people out in places like India can then spend that time on higher value, more insight driven work. And actually those are the centers of the world in Accenture where they've invented entire new IP and platform for us because they have put their hand up and said, automate these tasks for me so that I can go and work on value-adding activities for us and our clients. So yeah, we are our own hardest customer, I think, to make sure that we're practicing what we preach, because otherwise we can't truly help our clients. So.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Lucy. A round of applause, please.